TV Crazy Man here with the original master of the art of doing it yourself with nothing but chewing gum, a pocket knife, and pure genius. That's right, it's MacGyver, and in this video we take a look at some funny and possibly strange goofs that even MacGyver couldn't fix. On the episode The Heist, MacGyver drives a car out of an airplane in the sky. But since this was likely stock footage used, we see another person skydiving right after him that isn't part of the story. When MacGyver drives out of the plane, initially you can see a camera in the passenger seat. The close-ups are definitely in a studio where a girl suddenly pops up to surprise us, but wouldn't it have been safer if she had been strapped into the seat? The most important thing though for us the viewer is that the show and the stunt had a happy ending. On the episode Thief of Budapest, most of the chase footage comes from the movie The Italian Job. In this goof, the car is being driven by mannequins. During the chasing, MacGyver lets up some balloons into the air that change color right in the middle of the sky. Here in this scene, Richard Dean Anderson's stunt double is pretty obvious. On the episode The Gauntlet, MacGyver floats into the air in a hot air balloon that is quickly hit with a bullet. Mac does the only thing you'd expect him to do. He climbs up and patches the hole with a map, of course. But strangely, the balloon is safely tied to the ground in the middle of the air. Luckily, the rope disappears a few seconds later, allowing MacGyver to escape into the sky. On the episode Last Stand, when the airplane stops and the fight begins, wheel chocks suddenly appear under the airplane's wheels. Safety first, of course. On the episode Hellfire, MacGyver and another man walk carefully into an old deserted powder shack filled with explosives. Good thing there was a mysterious hand there to keep the boxes from falling.
Stuff will go off if you sneeze.
Back in here or you'll be fried!
Also in this episode, MacGyver and his buddy are drenched by a hose. But when they run from a well explosion, they suddenly almost get dry. They must have really been running fast.
Come on back, come on! Whoa, easy!
On the episode The Prodigal, Mac bumps into a car with a tow truck. He stands around talking the whole time. He's never shown hooking the car to the truck. But when he jumps into the truck and takes off towing the car, it's hooked to the truck somehow. Well, leave it to MacGyver to do the impossible. On the episode Target MacGyver, Mac climbs up into a tree, straddling a big tree limb, so that he can cut a smaller one next to it. The close-up shot shows Mac looking like he's actually standing up, and is able to use both hands, which was impossible while he was sitting at the angle he was supposed to be sitting. Plus the log is rolling around like it's set up on something, not a limb that's actually attached to a tree. On the episode Nightmares, Mac needs to unscrew an electrical box cover with his belt buckle, which is strange because the screws were already gone in the shot right before then. On the episode To Be a Man, Mac drops a huge rock on a bad guy's vehicle, but the rigged effects explosion goes off before the rock even hits. Now the rock should weigh a ton, but bounces like foam, and by itself doesn't do any damage to the vehicle, thus the need for the explosion the effects team set up underneath the vehicle. On the episode Slow Death, Mac throws a boot onto the roof of a train. He runs in socks up to confront the bad guy, but then after getting hit, he's suddenly wearing both boots again. On the episode Final Approach, Mac saves a kid from a mountain lion by rerouting some water the big cat's way. This one's hard to see unless you're watching it on television, but just for a second you can see a person's head pop up that's not part of the scene. It's probably the big cat's trainer.
And hopefully pops the lock open.
On the episode Soft Touch, MacGyver creates a blowtorch to break open a lock to a freezer in order to save Teri Hatcher. And this was before Superman would save her on a regular basis in her next TV series. But a close-up reveals that Mac didn't need that blowtorch to save her. He just needed to use the key that was in the lock. Of course, the wider shots didn't show the key.
We're almost roasted.
On the episode Dalton Jack of Spies, goons park behind Mac's Jeep at a funeral home. Mac leaves the Jeep and escapes with Dalton on a motorcycle. The bad guys follow in her car, but where did Mac's Jeep go? It should still have been parked in front of them, unless it was towed really quickly. Also on that episode, while Mac, Jack, and Shadow escape from the back of a garbage truck, you can see someone is pushing the trash out with a shovel, who was not in the scene before. On the episode The Survivors, bad guys anchor a seaplane to a rock that appears to wobble like it's floating, and generally speaking, rocks don't float. On the episode Two Times Trouble, the mirror accidentally reveals a microphone, distracting us out of the story perhaps just a little bit. On the episode The Lost Amadeus, when Lulu is driving Mac around, the back car window is plain white, no scenery at all. Sure would be hard to drive like that, especially with no rear view mirror. On the episode Squeeze Play, during the final fight scene, a rubber prop bat bends visibly multiple times before becoming solid again for Adam 12's Kent McCord to hit a home run ball, knocking a sign onto the bad guy's car. On the episode Obsessed, the bad guy misses MacGyver in his Jeep only to drive off a cliff. But there's no one in the Jeep as it goes over, even though we hear him yelling MacGyver's name.
MacGyver!
Back then there was probably not a perfect way to do this scene. They either send the Jeep over with no one or they put a mannequin in it, which might have worked from a good distance. I miss the 80s. Nothing ever crashed without exploding into a giant fireball. On the episode The Coltons, the dog being carried isn't a stunt dog, it's definitely a stuffed animal. And it was a real dog just a few seconds ago. On the episode The Golden Triangle, during the forklift stunt, MacGyver puts the fork through the front windshield, but in a long shot it magically switches sides and exits through the driver's side window. The original hole in the windshield is still there. I'm guessing they must have had to set it down and finish the scene later. Well, that's about it for another video. Please let me know what you thought about the goofs that I found, and did I miss any that you noticed on MacGyver? Talk about your MacGyver memories in the comments. Subscribe, hit like, and check out my last video on the A-Team goofs for more 80s fun. And there's lots more great classic TV memories and fun stuff on the TV Crazy Man channel. Thank you so much for watching.